Okay, I'm back. Realize I owe a bit of an explanation, and I doubt anyone's going to see it. But this morning, I woke up early. I ended up being on games, movies, comics, or web stream, whatever. It's live stream. I went ahead, went back to bed, and about 30 minutes later, the power went out. It's been out since then. Unfortunately, that's then, of course, the router had to reset, and the internet started working about a minute or so before I got on. I want to make sure it was still, stable and all. So then I got on and promptly opened up the show and ended it. Needless to say, I doubt this is going to be very long. Why I decided to call this what I did. And seeing how, well, nobody's in the chat, I can see why nobody's going to be interested in this. So, well, hello, Bird. So, needless to say, LDG, good morning. Actually, I'm surprised anybody's here. Thank you all for coming. As you'll notice, I renamed started a new stream and decided to name it properly this time. So, it is what it is. And okay, good morning, Professor. Good morning, 47. And good morning, Ervik. I apologize for having people wait before, and I apologize for ending the way I did, but you know what? I don't know anymore. LDG? No, I didn't watch all of it. I'm gonna be honest. When I was on there, it was a snooze fest. Now, if you would like me to tell you personally why, I will. There were two particular people on there. Yeah. Yeah, I saw that message in the chat. I appreciate that. And
Hello world, it's Brittle Fan 5, Kaplosh.
Kapla.
So the garbage show, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Does that make me garbage?
No.
Oh, okay. As long as we're clear.
So what's going on?
We slept like incredibly late today. Surprising. Mom will pray. Slept till 8:30. Nephew will pray also. Very late. Um, I was up at 7, which I thought was late for me, but I was like, oh well, at least I'm in time for Captain Shrek. But we know how that happened. So I was just, I actually could have start my own. At come 8 o'clock and you hadn't started. I was going to start a morning Coke, but I was like, I don't want to do a morning Coke. So I said, oh, I'll do a morning duty, meaning Call of Duty.
Mm-hmm.
But then I saw Sci-Fi Nation was already doing a morning Call of Duty stream. So, I mean, I know he's not your favorite, but I went over there, said hello.
Mm-hmm.
And Charlie got up and was more awake, so I was, stopped with that. And honestly, I was just checking. I'd opened your window in a separate window, so I'd hear it if you went on. And I heard you come on just to say you were ending the stream. So I was like, I bet he'll be on in 5 minutes. And in 5 minutes, sure enough, you were back. So everything worked out nicely.
I actually wasn't intending on it. Then I realized I went off. I didn't really properly explain what happened. I just, I guess Eric Saunders liked that idea.
I even made the thumbnail for it.
Trust me, it would have been much more interesting.
Well, if it's ever needed in the future, the thumbnail's already created, so hard part is done. Though I prefer just coming on someone else's stream, since especially in the mornings I have to get busy and get taken away for minutes at a time unexpectedly.
Mm-hmm.
I did get 2 kills this morning, so
Cool.
that now only 2 kills away from completing my 12 kills. Unfortunately, neither were with common weapons or long LMG guns, so they only count to deaths, not to anything else.
Pain level
Something.
is rather high right now.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear.
No, I was just answering Darren. Right now it's probably about an 8. I was late taking my medicine because things were so hectic. Starting to get. I had to wake my mom because I couldn't find my phone. Call the cable company, and then I realized it was the power, so I called the power company. Yeah, it's just stupid. Uh, let's see here, 17 minutes after, and LDG said he'd be right back. It's about 20 minutes from now. LDG will be back. Thank you for joining Sci-Fi Nation.
Sci-Fi Nation. No, Mom, I was saying hello on mine.
And how is Mama Pray?
She's not bad. She had a rough night, but she slept late, so I think it evened out. Mama Pray hasn't slept till 8:30 a.m. in a year or more, I would guess. That was charming.
Yeah, that would make things a little more difficult. Hopefully, the sleep she got was restful.
You know, we're kind of a big believer in second sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Like in the old days, humans kind of had broken sleep, like they'd have a first half. No, you used to get like 4 hours, wake up for an hour, and then go back to sleep. People didn't usually sleep all through the night. Okay, well, in the olden days, it was quite normal to have like the quote midnight snack or whatever, because
Mm-hmm.
you were awake. You slept before, woke up in the middle of the night, and then would go back to sleep again till morning. This 8 hours all at once is a relatively new phenomenon that we have comfortable beds and climate control. So the human body is possibly more apt to split your sleep cycle. So yeah, so you might find yourself more rested if you do a split sleep cycle. I don't know. I've been okay with the whole night. But Kaplamar.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It is
Hello.
I, Mark Krell. Sorry, Captain, I didn't wanted to disturb you,
No, not
stop
at
you.
all. What's going on, Mar?
That's what I wanted to ask. We
What?
are having a new show here, or
Well, I ended the morning brew about 30 seconds after I started it,
yeah,
after I
I
finally
saw
had
that.
power. And I
I
saw the
saw that.
people were in the chat prior to that. Read a few of the messages, and it's just like, yeah, what the fuck. Of course, after yesterday, yeah, I don't know if I give a shit anymore. Oh, awesome. Had another unsubscriber. Thank you all so much for giving a fuck. Yeah.
Yeah, Yvette, the link. You have just to scroll a bit up right now.
No, I'll do it. Do it. Second. And Yvette, go do what you need to do. You got things you got to do today. Being on here. God damn it.
Okay, the random menace. Why passengers?
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, Yvette.
Everyone all right?
Good morning.
Morning. Afternoon.
Good afternoon, Yvette. All right is a relative term.
You're
No.
not feeling good. You're not feeling good?
No, I'm not.
Oh no. What number are we on?
Well, I'd taken my medicine before I started. Um, right now it's at a 7.
Oh, that's not good.
Um, yeah.
I'm sure you're all wondering what happened to me yesterday.
Uh, I figured you were busy, so I wasn't going to ask.
Yeah, spent 3 hours in A&E.
Translation to that.
Unbelievable. Captain Trek
So,
G is there. LDG wants
so
us comes an hour late.
What's
30
an
minutes.
A&E?
30 minutes late. What? Good morning. Hello. Good morning, Captain Trek.
Uh-huh. It's morning.
It is morning. Hello, Bird.
Good morning.
Good morning. Yvette, Mar, Chat.
morning.
Ah,
part of the chat.
Man, I feel recharged. Oh yeah.
Well, at
Good for you.
the random menace, I don't watch the news no more. I figured for myself that it is better not to watch the news.
You'd be surprised how many people feel that way these days.
I stopped watching the news long time ago. Long time ago.
Oh, I see that Pegasus posted something. Gen Z is actually stupid. Well, so far the title sounds correct. Okay. I'm sure you'll be watching that event.
Sorry, I think I'm going. Yeah. What was that?
I said Pegasus posted something.
Oh, right. I'm sure I'll be watching it later.
Ooh. Cheap thrill. See, now your phone works. Doesn't work last night, but it works now.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, it's working now.
Oh, Aravik, if you have missed the Nerdgasm this morning, then you really have missed something. We was late, but we was great.
Yeah, I spent half an hour yelling, playing god awful music, and calling him.
Yes, and I want everybody want to take a moment to thank Yvette, because if it wasn't for her, there would have been no Nerdgasm last night. So again, thank you, and it was surprisingly funny. Matter of fact, I think I quote that Ambassador said was the funniest stream he's ever been on.
Well, Captain, as I was saying, the reason I wasn't here yesterday was I spent 3 hours in A&E. Real life crap. And never made it back in time. And I do apologise. So there we go. You know, these things happen.
What is A&E?
Your ER, emergency room.
Oh, emergency room. Oh, I'm sorry.
It's accident emergency here, A&E.
You have accident emergency. What about purposely emergency? They got that. What about purposely? Does it have to be accidental?
Well, to be honest, it was probably purposely. Yeah, it involved HRH, so make your own minds up.
I'll tell you what was accidental. When I checked into Nerdgasm just to see what was going on, and I randomly jumped to a point in the stream, and the first thing I heard was about LDG's constant morning wood. And then I closed the stream. That was accidental.
No, it wasn't.
That was the part I hope Cap heard, because I'm assuming you heard what I said about Cap.
Hang on, you clicked
No,
off
that was literally all I heard. I was like, okay,
yeah.
bye.
So Bird, you
That was
actually
good.
clicked off what I said straight after.
Yeah.
No,
What came right after that?
I didn't stick around.
You should have stayed. You should have stayed. Oh man. That was good.
I made notes. I made plans. Yeah, he said several things about being unconscious and also the wood thing. So I've made plans.
And
Whatever,
uh,
good for you guys. Whatever works. Good God bless.
hello, Oral
Good
Nation.
morning, Orville Nation.
Good morning.
Whatever time it is, where you are.
Orville Nation.
COPPA
Ah, son of
350.
a bitch.
Anyway, I'm not going to hang around, Captain. Obviously, I just wanted to bob on and say hello. I did
Hello.
flash my glass to everyone, but I didn't fill it because it was way too late to drink for me. So I really hope you have a
Yeah,
great.
that's understandable.
Sorry.
I said that's understandable that you weren't able to. Yeah.
Yeah, it was too late for me to have a drink. So, I haven't christened it yet, but I did flash it off. So I'm gonna go, but I'm glad to see you streaming, and I'm glad the power's fixed. And I will leave you with these mad bunch of bastards. And love you all, and love to everyone in the chat. I'll have you on listening while I nod off. Bye.
Take care, honey. Get some rest.
Bye bye.
Later.
Yeah.
He needs to recharge after last night.
Why recharge?
And yes, Yvette, have a great day. I didn't see Michael T in the chat. Excuse me. Hello. Good morning, Michael T.
Boom, 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 boom.
Well, I'll put it to you this way, and I said this to Yvette. Of course, apparently her phone wasn't working at the time, so yeah. But anyhow, I was there when it started. Thankfully, no, at the time it was boring as hell, so I went to sleep.
Not everything is for everyone.
True. So anyhow, Mar, what's been going on?
Whom you ask? Do you ask someone specifically what's going on?
You
Or
specific.
me? Very specific. Well, not much today. So far, I haven't seen my nephews, which for a change is pretty nice. Yeah, well, the youngest one always steals my pocket money, my coins, my coin money,
Uh-huh.
and then I have to run behind him and try to get it back before he throws it God knows where. And the big one, well, he usually just sits on my bed and watches YouTube streams, and of course not the YouTube streams I am on because he doesn't understand them.
Correct.
Unbelievable. He still could support it even if he doesn't understand it.
Yeah. at least, yeah, at least learning. That's good.
That's what I'm saying.
And it looks impossible. Michael T. and hello, Catman, aka BB Myers.
Yes, you are right, Didi Myers, but I still have a full week of both of my nephews before me.
Well, for once, I agree with you, Professor Blah. As is the show, as is this day. Yeah.
So, Captain, as I said, you are my favorite captain. You said that yours is Captain Cisco.
Yes, I was surprised to see that on Twitter. All of a sudden, I see this poll on who's your favorite captain. Like, wait a minute. Yeah. Well, at least there was no Captain Bitch listed. There
Mikey
were only,
Schmuck.
yeah.
Well, if we are just talking track, then I would have to go with Archer. But that is for different reasons.
All right. Why is that?
Well, first off, my best friend and I, we cooked before we watched it. So that's one thing why it was better than every other show before it.
Mm-hmm.
And short after the series was cancelled, he died. So I will never have something like that again. And I like the idea, even if they did it a little bit, or a little bit is good. If they went through it too quick, that they started off with nothing to begin with. They didn't have had teleporters and phasers or anything like that, and had to come across all that technology. But as I say, it was a little bit too fast. They should have gone a little bit slower with it. But yeah, I like that fact of the voyage they had in the Enterprise series.
Well, the fact that they didn't, you know, by the time of, well, when they originally had the original series, obviously they had no time to just, shuttle down everybody. That would waste a lot of time in every episode. So, transporter. But in this one, it was like, okay, we don't have, these aren't tried and tested technology. So, we're not going to be using these all the time. They made the time and took a shuttle pod down, whatever the hell they call it. I don't know what it was. Anyhow,
Yeah, as I
Um,
say, I like the fact that they needed to get there with the technology before everything, and not that they just started with everything of technology. That they not said, "Oh yeah, the Vulcans gave us this technology and this technology," and that one we got from the Klingons.
okay, so you watched Black Widow, JP's. What's the word?
No, he said he was watching through a crap black window.
I see that Michael G's drawing something this morning.
Good morning, guys. How's it going?
Hey,
morning.
look who it is. Good
And
morning.
a complot bird of prey. If he's still awake.
You sitting in a propeller airplane?
Oh shit!
You got going on there?
Sorry.
Why don't you
My
super
bad.
zoom that?
That's what I'm trying to do.
Nice.
Yeah, getting some inking done. This will be the cover to Inferno #1.
Kind of reminds me of some Gauntlet style poses and stuff.
And it's supposed to be the big damn hero shot, you know.
Sweet.
If I manage to do all right in a couple of art auctions coming up, I am going to hire a cover artist for an alternate cover that will be exclusive to the campaign while it's live. The rest of the poor slubs who back late will just have to deal with my art.
You make that sound like a bad thing.
I mean, I know where I stand artistically, really. When you compare to, like, the others that I'm alongside, especially, or the ones that I'm trying to emulate, I know where I stand. Eventually, I'll be, at a much better rate, but I would need to seriously improve my speed to consider myself ready to compete on that level.
Oh yeah. Well, it's not always about the speed, I would say. But then again, I've watched Hiro Mashima fast drawing his stuff, and yeah, he is fast.
I don't know how many of you are familiar with my friend Dan Plagle, Boob Dan Art. He is incredibly fast. Like this page that I'm doing, I've been working on solidly total time probably 2.5 days right now. A page like this, he could have penciled and inked in something like 3 hours. And it's just fantastic to me. But to be fair to him, he's been practicing his stuff for like the past 20 years solid. There's like not a day gone by where he hasn't drawn. And I had a big old 15-year gap where I was like bartending and doing all kinds of other stuff and not sitting at a table.
Right? Yeah, I hear ya. Sucks when you have to waste your life doing shit you don't want to do.
Well, and it wasn't that I didn't want to do it. It was just I had it in my head that because, I'm with somebody or something like that, there's like a certain recipe that life has to go down. It's like, oh, you have to have a job that, has the W-4 and start saving for benefits for retirement and blah, 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 blah. The typical kind of BS that you hear growing up.
Yep.
And it takes even people who like in their heart kind of know that that's not true. It takes them a long damn time to really sort that out and figure it out for themselves. Like, I'm 43 years old, and I'm finally doing what I want to do on my own terms.
And I think that is what makes it count in the end.
And I'm having a blast doing it. I forgot how much I really enjoyed doing this.
Yeah, I know the feeling. Sounds stupid coming from me because I still count myself as a complete beginner. And I do not draw comics. I just do well, still lifes, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
But I just do it to relax, and I just do it for myself.
I used to do like landscapes and stuff like that when I was little.
Not really in
Like-
landscapes. I draw a woman.
Well, what used to get to me is like I didn't know how to draw people, and it was annoying to me. So, like when I was about 14 years old, that's when that '92 X-Men cartoon was on TV, and I would record it with my VCR, and then go back and like pause the video and like literally have big old sheets of tracing paper that I would tape to the TV and trace over the characters to figure out how did they draw people.
Well, for me, it is that I cannot really color. So I really just do them with pencil most of the time.
That's probably my biggest weakness too. Is my coloring. That's something else I have to practice on, but the penciling and the inking comes first in these stages. So heck, you can even release a black and white book. I don't really want to, but if I find that like in the time it takes me to get all this done, my coloring isn't up to at least my snuff of standards, I'll make it a stretch goal in the campaign that the pages will be colored, and like the campaign money would be going towards hiring a colorist. That's less in my pocket, yes, but it's a more quality product to the people that I'm trying to reach. And I would be absolutely willing to take that hit for that kind of quality. I'm really hoping I just get good enough coloring, honestly.
Yeah. You know, don't get me wrong, I can understand people wanting to, you know, you're not doing this for free, but, you know, and it's not been any of the people that I've ever had on or been, you know, seen, but I've checked out some of the Indiegogo stuff, and there was some that's like, really? You think your stuff's worth that much? Damn.
Well, and a lot of it comes down to like their personal styles too.
Yeah.
I know, like the Absolute campaign. My friend Jason, he has a very wild style with ink smears and like disproportionate things going on, crazy imagery.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like Frank Miller's stuff if you color inverted it. You know, the guy that did Sin City and 300.
Ah, okay, yeah.
If you like inverted it from like how heavy blacks that like Frank Miller used on all of his stuff, you invert the colors and make it white instead and use outlines on the characters. That's kind of Jason's style, and I dig the shit out of it. I get that that's not for everybody though.
Cool.
Oh, I had a job, JP's. I was a dishwasher. Actually, went on my first date about that time too. Actually,
Really?
yeah, cool girl. Her name was Heidi. But like, I had some faux pas on my first date because I was an awkward asshole. So there was no second date.
Yeah.
Normally,
Well,
I'm an asshole before the first date, because then she already has a very bad view on me, so it can just get better.
Again, it comes down to all those preconceived notions of how, like, when you're young, you like get it in your head that like there's a certain path life is supposed to take, a certain way you're supposed to do things, and you know, look back at yourself 5 years ago. What would you tell that person?
Yeah.
That I was right all the time, and I shouldn't stop second guessing myself. He'd know what I mean.
Yeah, you better don't tell your younger self that, because that would be wrong. So wrong.
Well, then you take that 5 years younger version of yourself, and I mean, how old are you, Mar?
Oh yeah, old enough, 45.
And you go back to 40, and then from there you go back to your 40-year-old self. What would they tell their 35-year-old? And you go back, and each time I almost guarantee that the phrase, "man, I was stupid," is going to come up in almost every single exchange.
Yep. Most likely.
Like me at 43, going back to 37. Man, I did some stupid shit at 37. 37 looking at 32, and go back all the way to 17 and 12, you know? And it's like, the day you stop learning is the day you die. Like right now, I'm figuring out all the streaming shit. I'm trying to figure out how to attach my chat boxes from YouTube and Twitch onto my OBS stream.
I can show you how to do that.
Later, I'm in a groove.
Yeah, I didn't mean now. Whenever.
Well, yeah, let's do it. See you, Trek. See you, Captain.
Yeah,
Well,
all
that
right.
sounds like a good idea to me.
We'll be back.
I'm playing.
Yeah, now I'm working on a website right now. Edits. Open. There we go. So
Well, Cap, you've had
I emailed the
Stuart on
support
here, too.
because my registration code for the redoing LDG pixels, I had to replace the template with the new design. Right? Same thing we're using for Nerdrotica. And I went to activate my code, and it says, "This code cannot be used. It's already used with another URL." I'm like, yes, it's used for this URL, not another one. This one, it's kind of like formatting your hard drive, reinstalling Windows, and when you go to use the Windows code, the same one you used before for the same computer, it says, "This code is already in use." Yes, for this computer. So then I email them, tell them, "Hey, need my code reset. I can't log in for some reason." And he comes back and goes, "We reset your code. Go ahead and try it now." And I email him back. I'm like, "How the F did you reset the code? I didn't give it to you. Which code did you reset? I have more than one. I have multiple websites." So he most likely reset one of the codes that I'm using for my clients, or one of my other, whatchamacallits. I'm going to have to check them all, right? So right now, one of the websites might be down. Don't even know. Got to check. And then I had to give him the code to reset, and still ask him. I can't log into the support website, which was my original problem, because if I had access to the support website, I'd be able to reset the codes myself. But no, completely ignored what I said and assumed they knew what to do, and failed. Where's my rewrites?
Lovely.
Let's redirect. Here we go. /theater. Here it is. Hey, word. Hey, word. Hey, bird.
It's okay, Pickles. Words are hard.
Oh, it's £. Never mind. Question answered.
And good morning, Michael T. Sorry I missed you before.
Kapla, bird. How's it going?
Blah.
Yo. Right.
So
Come on.
this
There we go.
I wanted to go and share some of my drawings, portrait drawings, whatever you want to call them.
Mm-hmm.
As you might be able to see
There we go.
easily, I still have a lot of trouble with hair.
Well, there's so many styles and ways to do it, too. I mean, I don't mean like wearing your hair, but like to actually put it on paper.
Okay.
Maddie,
What the heck?
someone remember, sir? That is a very old drawing of me. That was the first one that really was pretty good, or
Wait.
that came out pretty good.
Wait, the werewolf's a self-portrait? That's awesome.
No, that's not a self-portrait. That would be great, but no. I saw him on Werewolf the Apocalypse, and I thought I have to try to draw him, but I couldn't get him right with a pencil, so I tried very thin. What are they called? Edding, actually. Waterproof pen. So if I would have made a failure on that, it would have been destroyed directly from the beginning. So I probably was a little bit more careful on that character. And I think that's the one that actually looks the best from all of my pictures, even if I draw him as I was like 16. And I had my manga face as well. Oh. And
That's
that's
what my
it.
youngest likes to do.
That's the ones that I'm able to show here without getting naked.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, Bill. How's it going? I'm live at the Love Shack. You too.
That was Werewolves and True Blood. I'll probably have to watch it anyhow.
Wait, were there werewolves in True Blood?
I have no idea. I've watched some episodes of it. It wasn't
I
very.
remember watching it, but like it was binge watching. So when you do something like that, like details don't stick in your head.
The drawings are getting naked.
Ah.
Oh, thank you for the clarification. I was going to ask.
Yes.
Can't
And
show anymore without getting naked. Wait, what?
Yeah, JP's asked if I was getting naked or the drawings, and I would have shown them if it was just me who was getting naked. But I also do not want Captain Trek's stream getting banned because of me showing pictures.
Yeah, some of them will do that anymore.
After the tentacle porn you had on mine, you worried about Captain Trek's? Okay, I see how that is.
Hey, that was Nerdgasm. And not the Morning Brew.
Let me
Max
get that.
contents. Height. Max content. Oh,
I remember
Sure,
Chupa
I'll-
being a good show, but I can't remember what all the happened in it. I only remember the Skarsgård son, really, and Anna Paquin and what's his nuts? The guy that played Bill.
But yeah, you heard it here first. LEG wants me to show off the naked ladies on the next Nerdgasm.
yeah, appreciate that.
I mean, that's totally a give the people what they want kind of thing, yeah. Cannot disappoint the fans, you know?
Just have to check how many of them are I'm actually allowed to show. Because some of the girls I draw naked do not want to be shown.
Others didn't know you were drawing them, and that's okay.
Well,
too.
sometimes you don't get what you sometimes you get what you don't want. Happens
Yeah,
all the
no,
time.
that's the deal. That's the deal. I ask them if I'm allowed to show off the work, and if they say no, then I don't do it. But then again, most of the art is also on my Facebook page. Well, actually, all of the art, I think, is on my Facebook page.
Height. Cancel. Here. Full height. Auto. Full height. Default with what? What container? And should be fixed. Full height.
One of these days he's going to be doing
Save.
that. He's just going to say his password out loud, and everybody's going to know.
Yeah. Dude, my password is so complex that even if I did say it, well, it's being recorded so they could just play it back. So yeah, thank God. But no,
Why are you coming in so much more hot than everybody else? LD.
because everybody else has crappy microphones, and most likely, I don't know.
I was turned away from mine. Mine's not bad.
See, there you go. Thank you. Thank you very much.
No. He is set at a higher volume. I had to move you down to 80 to be bearable on my ears.
You sounded just as loud as me just a second ago.
And yeah, because his is set up to like, let me look. $150.
That sounds good. There we go. You're a little soft, but I'd turn you up a little bit.
You're soft.
Well, I have a
What?
very soft voice. So.
Trust me,
Yeah.
the last thing I was this morning, ask Bird, was soft.
Why would I ask Bird that at all?
Because he knows.
Yeah, that would be. And to answer
As
that,
long as I
go ahead.
As long as I do not fall in my military voice, I have a very soft voice, so that's why I probably come over as a little bit more silent than others.
True. And Love Shack, if you behaved on my streams the way you actually behave on others, you would be welcome. But for whatever reason, unlike on other streams, like Orville Nation, where you actually behave, you seem to think you have license to act like a fucking idiot on here.
Why is it not working? Fuck.
And LDG's
Oh, bitch.
code is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Hey, don't tell me.
That's kind of code an idiot would have on his luggage.
Not even funny. All right. So you want to tell it? You want to tell a funny joke? All right. I used to use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for my passwords back in the day. Back when the idiots who decided to change their password to have to have capital this and lowercase that and exclamation this and so many characters that. Well, they didn't code it right. So back when they changed passwords, and this is how stupid they were. I had a stronger password because they changed their password requirements at first. But if you didn't change your password, you still had the old style password. So when hackers were like, okay, in order to hack out these people, we have to like use these sets. So I was outside of those sets since they let me have a password you can't have. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They weren't checking for all number passwords because they knew the place they were hacking didn't allow all number passwords.
Yeah.
So they would change their code to only search for what, stop wasting time, right? Only search for what the password range is. But since I was outside that range, I'd never get hacked with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, this goes into more than that, but it's basically just to show you that I should have gotten a pop-up when I logged in the next time that said, you need to rechange your password. But maybe now they do that, but back then they didn't. I think it was AOL, too.
Yeah. It was funny because I had, speaking of AOL, I had AOL. I had the most difficult time with passwords on there. I would make a password that was, well, today even, quote unquote, safe, and somehow it would get hacked. Okay. But it was only AOL. It wasn't anybody else. I guess for some reason AOL was getting hit big back then.
I have so many passwords by now that I just usually go to a site when I have to relog, and I have to log in again, that I just tell them I've lost my password, I need a new one, because I have no idea what password I used for what page. And so I change my password every time I have to log into something.
And Cap, is it okay if I link that R&R from yesterday?
Yep.
Took me a second to find it.
No problem.
That's an ampersand. Damn it.
I'm a bitch.
learn how to spell, Michael. Alright, there we go. There you go, Prof.
Two, 1, 0.
Yeah, for JPs, for Sony, you should always use a different password. Because Sony is so easy to get hacked. It didn't just happen once. That Sony got hacked and all information spread out there.
Okay, am I back?
Yep.
Okay.
The heck?
My Discord kicked on and like overrode all my audio settings.
Understand.
There we go.
Why is so much stuff open? Michael, what are you doing?
Yeah, probably. Same thing I am.
You don't have
First-
100 tabs open, you're not doing enough.
It wasn't the tabs, it was the other programs. I had like Steam, GOG, VoiceMod, Discord, Overwolf, CurseForge. Yeah, all of that was running simultaneously. Like, I don't even use half of those things half the time.
All right. By this time next week, I'll be having another 420 stream.
Huh?
Well, let's see here. The start of yesterday, I had 445 in subscribers, and at this point, I'm down to 438.
Wow.
This is after Jedi Bill subscribed this morning.
Well, I'm still subbed. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. I know that YouTube did unsub me from like 5 different people, but
Well, as long as YouTube is just unchecking me from people that I do not watch at the moment, because they all come with the same bullshit, everything is fine.
another artist friend of mine had a stream last night, and he like linked it up on Twitter, and I'm like, oh, you know what? I ain't got nothing going on right now. I'm gonna go check him out. And I went over and it was like, I clicked into it through Twitter, and like, big red box on the bottom saying, please subscribe. I'm like, I am. It should have been for like a year.
Yeah. And you ask why you're not a moderator, Love Shack.
Well, he's not wrong. The hub cares more about its customers than YouTube does.
True. So I forget, what are you playing today, Bird?
Well, that's actually something I have to figure out. The plan was to play the day after tomorrow, but that was when we were going to have a special guest host.
Okay.
Unfortunately, yesterday, due to personal reasons, the guest host had to drop out. And I told them, listen, I understood. They'd given me a heads up. I said,
Right.
listen, don't worry about it. Real life is secondary to YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
But apparently, yesterday I got the official that they were not going to be able to make it.
Right.
So I either continue with watching the movie we were going to watch the day after tomorrow, which is, I don't know, what I'm kind of leaning towards, and it's just barely, it's like 51-49. Or if I switch up the movie, because I also have RoboCop almost ready to go. If I switch
Paul
up to
Verhoeven.
RoboCop and save the day after tomorrow for another day when this host may be able to make it.
I would save it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's good. It doesn't mean that the host, we couldn't find another movie to have as the guest host with. So I guess the real question is, would people rather RoboCop or the day after tomorrow or today?
Like, I don't even need a gun to my head. It's RoboCop every time with those two.
Yeah, I love
Making the choice
RoboCop.
between those
I'm not-
two, it's RoboCop.
Have a smoke. I'll be right back. Take it easy. Hold the fort without me.
We'll do our
Okay.
best.
So now, I will. Consensus seems to be RoboCop. Nobody jumping the other way. Then I will get RoboCop ready, and we'll save the day after tomorrow for some other random day. Not sure when.
Well, it's not that I don't like Day After Tomorrow, but the choice between the two.
I haven't seen RoboCop in forever, I mean, don't get me wrong. I probably wouldn't mind seeing RoboCop myself. I mean, I saw the day after tomorrow. After it came to DVD or whatever. So it wasn't all that long. I mean, it was long enough, but it wasn't anywhere near as RoboCop, which I haven't seen in decades. And 54.5 Access Radio puts in hashtag Bird loves watching Crystal Skull. An emoji.
Which
Fake news.
RoboCop, the old one or the new one?
The original RoboCop. I haven't even seen the new one.
That was a clever way to burn you.
The originals was better, but the new one had its moments.
I won't wholesale call the new one crap, but I was not a fan of it.
I think
Michael Keaton was alright.
the biggest problem was that they left us hanging with just one movie there. They come up with something new, but they do not explain everything in the first movie, and then they just stop because people do not like it, as they did with the originals.
Well, I wish Hollywood would take that lesson now.
They haven't done it back then, why should they start now?
Well, because RoboCop wasn't an agenda. It was just fun, stupid action.
Exactly.
And the hyper-violence, I mean, Vanderhoven puts some
Now it's
crazy-
agenda. Coffee. Go ahead, Michael. What were you saying?
Oh, no, I was just noticing in the private chat really quick.
No biggie. Hadn't looked back there myself.
And this is not a question I'm capable of answering.
And no, because I'm not hearing anything, so except an echo, but that's no big deal. I can deal with that.
All right. Oh, hey. Shit. Okay.
Got your cancer fixed?
Ooh, live. What's up, man?
Hello.
Hola.
What's going on live?
Not much. Did you check Twitter later?
I will.
No, I finally broke the 185 barrier. My weight's finally going down.
Cool.
Good man.
Yeah. So I finally managed that.
Well, that's good news. Congrats.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it took 6 months, but I find a way.
Well, at this rate, I'm worried that anything you're going to lose is something I'm going to find. I got to start getting an exercise program in between drawing.
Oh, by the way, looks like LDG start to pump up something. You look thin, bro.
Thank you.
That's the cocaine.
Yeah. Lots and lots of cocaine. Which I was kind of disappointed when I found out that Morning Coke was canceled. But that's okay.
No, I mean, your t-shirt look more loose.
Yeah.
Like a lot of weight is gone.
Maybe like 10 pounds.
That's good.
Yeah, the fear of resetting early motivated my diet even more.
Wait,
And,
are you referring to great resetting?
Reset is what I call death.
Oh.
When I get my next body.
What happens if it's the same body?
Doubtful.
Doubtful, but in a world of anything being possible, that...
I mean, if we were in the world of Loki, yeah, then maybe. I'd agree with you. But
oh, come on. You didn't like... wait a minute. You didn't like Loki? Come on.
It was pointless. damn show did absolutely nothing.
Well, it's the first show on Disney Plus. I like it. I didn't
That's
dislike.
what they
I didn't
do.
dislike.
They
I didn't dislike WandaVision as much as you do. For me, was just okay. Could be a lot worse.
yeah, Loki does suck.
And Falcon and the Winter Soldier, meh. I could live without that.
Oh well.
Yep, agreed. Falcon and the Winter Soldier really was pointless.
They're all pointless. All three were pointless. Zero consequential. Consequential.
Well, they consider it learning their lesson from the Netflix shows and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. in they shouldn't have their television shows have consequences that are reflected in the MCU and vice versa.
God forbid, right?
So now any TV show that's going to come out on the small screen, by the end of it, isn't going to have screwed up anything in the big stuff.
Yep.
The only show I am willing to wait in the small screen is Prometheus and the spin-off Xena Space Warrior Princess.
Xena Space Warrior Princess? That's funny.
Well, when you have intermultidimensional and cable TV, that's a lot of fun.
And to be fair, space is the only place Xena has left to go. So.
Yeah, exactly.
And my issue with having zero consequences from the TV series affecting the movies, why fucking bother watching then? Because you know it's not going to impact anything. Like, okay, what's the point? Why have them on?
Well, because for however many viewers watch that show, that's their next bit of crack, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
I'm not even watching them from a fan's eye view anymore. I'm watching them from a critical eye view, and I'm not even happy with those results.
Look, I don't know what you didn't see on Loki, but I like it. I get entertained. So okay, I am willing to be the idiot in the room. Okay. I like it. I like it, Loki. I dislike Tomorrow War. It's not my thing. Some things are, some things are not.
Yep.
Well,
let it
Lobshack,
be.
I'm with you there. I hate it. I hate Tomorrow War.
No, finally, a King's Soul. Thanks
And
God.
I like Loki.
Oh, fine. It's good to know I'm not alone in the world.
Well, I'll tell you, Disney, their shows and stuff like that, it's the overall part of it that I generally have an issue with. But things like Tom Hiddleston's acting within it was stellar. Tom Hiddleston's amazing. Always has been.
Yeah.
Little, I don't know if you call them Easter eggs or anything like that necessarily, but like references to other stuff. Like you saw Throg in the jar. I was pissed off because he was in a jar and did nothing. It was cool to see him, sure, but he should have had some impact in the story. Classic Loki. Oh my god. The Asgard illusion was just spectacular.
Yeah.
I can take these little good bits out of the thing, but still look at the overall as bad. You know, when we're invested in these stories long term, like we have been for the past 10, 12 years now, starting with Iron Man 1, knowing that this story that we're watching isn't going to have any fucking effect on anything else within it the way they've been doing the interconnectivity, it's frustrating.
Well, look at That was six episodes, so it's a long extended film of what 2.5 to 3 hours. That was just the prologue. It's not how I would like to do a TV series, but for me it works. I miss the good old days when you have 22 episodes for season.
Well, yeah, but Disney's not gonna blow that kind of production money on that. If they did that, we would have had way less production value on each episode. It would have been Agents of Shield or worse, as far as that goes.
Well, they had very little to almost no production values on season 3 of Star Trek the original series, and it still was kind of good. It's considered a classic. Why they have to spend so much money on these things? Look at classic Loki. The guy was in spandex and it works. The guy was awesome. You don't need to make everything on CGI and motion capture and whatever you want to throw on the screen.
After what they've given us, though, we'd be bitching about that if they did that.
True. And good morning, Oscar Scenario.
I wish they make the test someday. I wish they make the test someday. Somehow make a TV series on the limits and the style of whatever you got in the 60s and 70s, the Lost in Space, the Star Treks. Do it, get a good script, and see if you still can have success on these days without highly expensive special effects.
Well, see, at the moment, for me, it's that there is just one movie that I really would love to watch, but it probably will never come out, and that would be Machete Kills in Space.
Oh my god, they're making a third.
I think they made Machete Kills in Space. It's called Friday the 13th 10. I think
No.
11.
Absolutely no.
I don't know, man. They have many Friday the 13th movies. They made one in space.
Yeah,
I don't
Jason
remember
They made
exactly.
one in
was the 10th.
space, but it's not Machete. I just love my Danny Trejo once in a while.
I actually met him once. One of
Yeah,
the
but
coolest
he's
dudes
not.
ever.
He's not getting any younger.
Yeah, that's
Come
the
on,
problem. That's why
give the
they
man a
need to
break.
do this
We
movie
need-
now.
Weirdly,
We
he
need
doesn't
a
get
new
any
Machete.
older
Part of the
either.
Machete. The third and last part of the Machete trilogy.
Well, I don't know.
Wait a minute.
Technically, you kind of have a Machete.
How many
trilogy if you
Machetes
count
they
Spy
made?
Kids.
How many Machetes
If
they
you-
made?
If you count
2.
Spy Kids 3, they've made 3.
Spy Kids is not Machete.
That's him. That is actually that character. Danny Trejo plays Antonio Banderas' brother in that movie, and it has been confirmed by Robert Rodriguez that yes, he is Machete.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
It
Didn't
is
know
the
that.
same character.
Can we start our own Machete cinematic universe now, and call it the MCU?
The new MCU centered around Danny Trejo. I'm on board. Let's do this.
Yeah, totally. Let's make that a hashtag.
Danny would love that. Man, that man lived a hard life, and he ended up being one of the nicest, coolest people on the planet.
And a real life hero.
Okay, I'm posting this. You heard from Captain Trek first. Make Danny Trejo the new MCU.
Yeah, no, not MCU. Danny Trejo shouldn't have had anything to do with Disney. Please.
Now, if you want to make a parody of the MCU, you need the R rating. So you need the machete. Come on.
You just get every one of Danny Trejo's characters in the past 15, 20 years. Go all the way back to Desperado.
You see, you already have a cinematic franchise. You didn't even notice.
In most of those movies, Danny just was because of his very markant face. He can do the bad guy, but he also can do the good guy.
He's totally a good guy in Machete. He just goes by kind of like Punisher logic.
Exactly. Which isn't wrong. I even think he was more the good guy than he played the bad guy overall. Badass 1 and
God.
Badass 2.
There's so many Danny Trejos on Twitter.
Is the vampire one from Dusk Till Dawn on there?
I don't know.
I'll follow that one.
I would just write Danny Trejos and that's it. I follow him later. Of course, make Danny Trejos the new MCU. Machado.
By the way, this conversation that we just had should have been clipped and sent to Danny.
Yes, please.
Just to show him that there are really big fans out there who want more Danny Trejo films.
Yeah, there are at least one in Brazil, another in Germany, and a lot more in the United States.
Somebody can take care of that.
I don't know. Boob
Thankfully,
might actually know him.
my channel's not monetized, so that actually takes work. So.
And there it goes.
And
Also
tell
on
Danny
Twitter.
he should come on this panel one time. Just for the fucks of it.
Oh, it would blow Captain Strack's mind if he got Danny Trejo's here.
Yeah, the chances of that are none. So
I think they are bigger than none. Many zeros after the comma, but there is a little chance.
yeah,
Look,
the more it's worth trying it.
Yeah, if PJ from Orville Nation can get to some people, I think at some point he can get to Danny Trejo's.
let's put it this way: there is somebody that Orville Nation wants me to have on at some point, and I decided against it because, yeah, should be on a different channel, a good channel.
Oh, come on, you are a good channel. Don't get yourself down.
You hear what Captain Trek says? You know, there is one person I would like to have on my streams. His name is Mark Krell, and he never shows fucking up.
Who?
Which is why Mark Krell, you know the guy? I want to have him
No.
on my channel, but he never shows up. That's why I do not have any content on my streams or on my channel.
I have no idea who are you talking about.
He's talking
Oh,
about himself.
I never show up to my own streams. That's why I do not have content on my channel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Well,
that's a
just bad
mystery.
policy.
How
You're gonna
some
have to
people
talk to that guy.
how some people can get viewers, followers, etc., and have no content on their channels.
Well, I have a bit content. It's not that I do not have no content at all.
I mean, usually it's because they have asshole friends who push their channels. But right, Yosef?
Yeah, I think about exactly him.
I mean, I don't know if he's out there, but yeah, there was a campaign to like get him a bunch of subs, and some asshole artist led that campaign. I don't know who that was, but and he had help from a
Okay,
frog.
guys, time. Okay, guys, time to get ready for family dinner, lunch, or wherever. I need to go. Have a nice day.
Okay. You too.
Take
See you
care.
around.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Hold the fort. Hold the fort.
Yeah, may the Schwartz be with you.
His Schwartz is as big as mine.
And
Oh.
I still
Phone's having a seizure.
have no idea why Schwartz is translated to German as yogurt.
Okay.
That's just circular logic at that point. And Richie Poole, yes, that is correct. He's also been killed by a predator.
Yep.
Yeah, that was actually a waste.
It was an ensemble cast. Somebody's got to die. I mean,
I would have liked to see him going or facing off against a predator and not just die off screen and then being used as bait.
So it's going to be your cover, right?
yeah, this will be the cover for issue number 1.
Cool.
Seeing it occur live on air right now. You even signed it already.
Cool. I like that.
And I will tell you, it is not easy to composite 8 characters for one image like this. This is why most team books you see only have like 4 or 5. This bastard right here, Crimson, I had to redraw him in this image like 3 different times because I didn't like the way he was positioned or scaled, and yeah. Like even on this card art when I did for him, like it doesn't really show how big he is. Like he's like 6'2" and like linebacker shoulders wide, you know. So in this image here, I'm going to have to put some things in for scale, you know, to really set that off.
Mm-hmm.
He's a big guy with a big fucking axe. And when you know that he's 6'2", you take a look at these two over here. Yes, they're freaking monstrous. Huge. And this guy gets bigger. That's his superpower. He gets faster and stronger the more adrenaline is in his system.
Ah.
And it's one he can't control, so he had to learn to like meditate.
Yeah, don't forget that Snowflake and Safe Space are already taken hero names.
Ironically, a name is not something you can trademark. I could theoretically come out with a story called Superman.
You'd be able to. That's good.
Well, the point is, it wouldn't be an alien from a busted up planet who grew up on a Kansas farm and has flight, super strength, and stuff like that. See, those attributes connected to the character, those are things that can be trademarked in association with that particular character. But that's all they can say about it is it's that character. He could have picked any name. So I could make a dude who lit on fire and, you know, breathed acid and call him Superman. And as long as he was like that legally distinct, it could be done. DC would have a shit fit about it, and it's kind of poor form, but it could be done.
Should be done.
So with that in mind, actually 2 of my characters actually do possess names of existing other comic company characters. This one's code name is Rush. It's a double entendre because he gets faster and it's adrenaline rush, you know. Even though there is I think it's in Malibu or Valiant Comics, I think. Valiant Comics has a character called Rush. He's just a speedster, though, like the Flash. Whereas I've got this guy's powers are tied to his metabolism, and he has more powers in his suite. And then the big black guy back here, his call sign is Fortress, which is the name of, I believe, also Valiant Comics again. It's their version of their Superman character. Because every company has a Superman. Sometimes several.
Mm-hmm.
You know, theirs is a dude with white hair who I think literally actually did come from another planet. And is here as like, you know, Earth's primary hero. This guy, he makes force fields and has body armor and shit like that.
Well, see, there we go to my problem. I can write stories, but I cannot draw the pictures to them. And when I write the stories, I have no idea if I write them in a way that someone could draw after the shit that I write.
Well, when you have an artist separate from a writer, they very much hang out with each other on a very regular basis, you know, getting those points across. Because when the writer's writing the thing, they've got an image in their head, you know, almost like movie shots. And if they can figure out how to translate that, like in a script, to the artist, forges a pretty solid relationship there.
Cool. And good morning, Cardinal Sin.
Good morning, Cardinal.
Good morning. And we'll see. When did I start? About a year back, I think. It was EVS had a picture up on Twitter from 1986, where he still was slim, and people was
That was
asking
a
how
long
he
time
got,
ago.
and people was asking how he got so fat, and I started to write a little story below that, like, oh yeah, I can remember the time, and as EVS saved the whole planet from the evil pie invasion. And as I said, I started to write a little story under that, and someone asked me if I could write a complete story. And I was thinking about it, and I said, well, probably I can make it 3 parts even. So we would have Ethan Van Sciver Last Hope, or A New Hope, Return of the Pie Empire,
Not the hero we deserve, but the one we need.
and of course Return of Ethan Van Sciver. And I started writing them, and I came up with names, because how do you call Evil Pie? Let's be honest, they're still working on the names at some point. But all the artists that I know that would have helped me to draw that, they all was like, wait, what? Ethan Van Sciver? Yeah, sorry, but I have no time for the next 100 or 200 years. not messing with Ethan. And Ethan himself, he wrote me a mail. He said, yeah, sure, go for it. Do it.
Yeah, seriously. Ethan loves that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I know. But as I say, you go to an artist and tell them, yeah, I need someone to draw it. They are like, nope, not messing with Ethan Van Sciver. Or they just say, I'm booked out for the next 200 years.
Yep.
Yeah. So I had no luck so far to find someone to draw for me. But where do I have that? Oh.
I mean, hey, if I wasn't busy on my own stuff, I'd be open, but...
Now I have to check myself where I put that.
Sorry, the bill of my hat keeps hitting my camera. I'm not on camera, I don't need a hat.
Nameless, there we go. So I came up with the names of the characters like Dark Vanilla, Emperor Pineapple Cake, and Impeach's Jelly Cake Bake.
I'm not gonna lie, these sound like more like My Little Pony villains.
Yeah, we are talking about evil pie here. You have to come up with something hilarious. That also sounds a little bit like pie in the end.
Oh, and don't disturb Bird Cardinalson. He's asleep.
Yeah, he's been dipping in and out all morning.
Yeah. Go for it.
So wait. Bill, you are making announcement for your watch party on Tuesday?
I don't know when his next watch party is, but
Yeah, this morning he said his next watch party will be on Tuesday. That's
okay.
why I'm asking if he wants to put the link in for Tuesday or for today. So if he wants to do one today.
Last I knew, he was planning on watching something today, but I don't know.
Well, he's got like 2 different watch party setups going. One's Buckets of Blood's focused on horror, and then there's just like more of a general one.
Yeah.
Well, if he's watching Sparkling Vampires, I'm out here. Then I have to go watch him.
Well, see, he won't watch Sparkly Vampires online because that's his secret love. And, we don't want to.
Yeah, he won't let anybody know he's watching it.
Ah, so you
Even
decided
though-
to do one today? Yeah, that's okay.
Even though we all know he does. He's got a Team Edward t-shirt.
Somebody's backstage. I wonder who.
I was just wondering.
I bet it's Cardinal.
Nope.
Hello.
Hello.
It's the other Darren Wagner.
There's another one?
Yep.
Yes, actually.
Oh, yeah?
There's a Fandom Menace Darren Wagner, which is you. I'm labeling you that one. And then there's a Comicsgate Darren Wagoner.
Huh. I'm in Fandom Menace. I didn't know that.
I don't know. I don't know.
No, there was a Darren Wagoner. Yeah, I saw that. I met him.
Yeah, LDG met him.
Interesting.
I didn't know if it was coincidental or you have a fan club.
How's the first name spelled? Same way?
Double R. Double R.
Double R.
Double R, yeah. And then Wagoner.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Huh.
Yeah, you're kind of like the flat version of his name.
Gotcha. I'll
So I
take
know
it.
2 D-Wags.
Yeah.
Ah, son of a bitch.
Jedi Bill is watching the one movie that I cannot resist. Really, unbelievable.
What movie would that be?
He's showing Ice Pirates.
Oh.
Oh shit! Space herpes, yo.
I loved the shit out of that movie back in the day. With the droids and everything, I just thought it was so fucking funny.
Well, now we just have to find a way to make them sparkle like his vampire friends, and so, you have sparkly pirates and sparkly vampires.
You're talking about Jedi Bill Heaven right there, aren't you?
Hello, Darius Münchhausen.
Darius.
Hello, Darius. How are you? See, Michael, you should be able to find some friends who'd be able to make up some quick drawings of sparkly vampires and sparkly pirates. That would, that would satisfy Bill.
Get him on a movie poster, Drew Struzan style.
He's having his background for every live stream.
Let's down a bit.
Woo, shiva. Getting cold. Oh. Fuck.
No, I hope you slept well, Darius.
Of course he did. He didn't stay up for Nerdgasm. He got a nice long sleep, I'm
Oh
sure.
shit! Darius getting called out. Right?
Well, Michael T, I can tell you're already you're better at comic book art than about 98% of the working artists out there today.
I'm not Starfire. God. They released the trailer for that officially yesterday. Oh, that looks terrible.
Yeah, I don't know what they're even trying to do. I mean, they could be making money if they wanted to. I don't think they want to.
Oh,
I mean, it's the other way around. They know they'll buy crap. So
20 years ago, there was
crap.
20 years ago there was definitely a contempt between the comic book professional and the comic book fan. But now they're not even bothering to hide it anymore. It's there used to be at least the idea that you want to be able to make a living doing this, and now they don't seem to care. But
well, I've noticed a degradation in the quality of Marvel Comics starting back in about like '96 or so. That's honestly when I started getting out of them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a lot of people hung on till the mid 2000s or so, and then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. By the time I broke in with my little title, the landscape was so toxic, I had to get out of it. It's just like, you know what? No thanks. You dip your toe in the pool, and it's not cold; it's just full of sewage.
That's not a bad analogy.
Yeah. I went my first Comic-Con where I was there as a pro. I of course had dinner with all the other quote pros that were up there. Minneapolis at the time had a huge population of people working in that industry. Not huge, but it was sizable. You wouldn't expect it. And I remember sitting at the table at the restaurant, just listening. Not nobody asked me any questions. I was just there to, I was the new guy. I didn't want to try to upset the apple cart. But yeah, I was like, these guys are crazy.
Well, I appreciate the praise, sir. Thank you. I still think I've got a long way to go. But
yeah,
it's encouraging to hear positive.
Yeah. And now they're hiring like what look like Tumblr artists who are probably working for free.
Yeah, I cannot imagine drawing Captain Marvel the way they've been drawing her, and expecting that to go for the same kind of cover prices. Things like X-Men #1, Spider-Man 300.
Yeah. Yeah, I see every once in a while an ad for something, and I'm like, I remember when female superheroes were like attractive,
Right?
Now I'll admit though, there was a point in the '90s where every female superhero was wearing next to nothing. I mean, Wonder Woman essentially had no stars on her waist part of her outfit because it was essentially a thong. I mean, you could see like her whole butt basically, and I think that was probably that was an extreme. But then they went and they went into the total opposite direction, and they were covering women up head to toe, or neck to toe, I should say, with outfits.
That in the '90s, and they were still sexy. Examples A and B right here: Rogue, Storm.
Early, yeah, right. But I mean, you're still looking at a nude form. It's just got a sheen on it that denotes that they're wearing vinyl or whatnot. But I mean, if you look at, for example, Power Woman or Power Girl, her peekaboo, they took that away, and that peekaboo, the peekaboo went away in the mid-O's, I believe, and they gave her this new outfit that reminded me of one that she had in the late '80s, briefly, where it was just one big old body suit like that and no peekaboo, and yeah, it was.
And I remember the Warbird version of Carol Danvers, and that was like the iconic look for her, as far as I was concerned.
Oh yeah, yeah. That was back when they were making Carol Danvers still look attractive, and she had a personality that wasn't so psycho, you know.
And a proper character arc, yeah.
Yeah, proper character arc where she was a recovering alcoholic, and I remember Kurt Busiek, I believe it was, and George Perez had that wonderful run on Avengers, and where Carol Danvers had just essentially been degraded from her binary character, which was a cosmic character who could fly, you know, from planet to planet and such, and she now had her powers reduced to Miss Marvel levels, and the Avengers were going to be on the moon fighting some villain, and they left Carol behind because she was, because her alcoholism was discovered. And they said, "We can't take you. You're too much of a danger. We can't take you with us." And they left her behind. And she says, "Well, I'll fly to the moon under my own power." And she doesn't make it out of the atmosphere because she can't. And she's all liquored up when she tries to do it and falls back to Earth. I thought that was a really great little arc there with her and Iron Man helping her out, and stuff like that.
Yeah,
but
it
today,
shows that like the heroes can learn and have moments of humility.
Right. You also had a character called Triathlon, or
oh god, yeah,
who you could not do that character today. Having the Team Jerk be the only black guy on there who was assigned to the team due to affirmative action, was you just couldn't do it today. I don't think they'd say that the right would be racist.
Couple you couldn't do. DC had a couple. There's no way you could do today, and that is Snowflame. An infamous bad guy who got super strength and super durability from snorting cocaine.
Oh yeah.
And Codpiece, the bad guy that literally had a cannon over his crotch.
Yeah.
I'd love to see these characters make a comeback, honestly. If any time's the time, it's now.
Right, I'm back.
Yeah.
Okay. Do this.
But you'd almost need, honestly, what I think you'd almost need is another company to come along. Like maybe the Richard C. Meyer, group, maybe forming a company and only selling comics, in their crowdfunding method, and maybe eventually trying to get them into stores again. But the problem, of course, is that because Marvel and DC are both owned by Warner Brothers and Disney, they have huge legal departments that could just keep lawsuits thrown at them in perpetuity until it bleeds them dry, the same way DC did to Fawcett back in the day.
They did that to Fawcett over the original Captain Marvel, who we now know as Shazam. But yet they don't say shit about Prime, Century, Fortress, Gladiator, the slew of other Superman clones that exist throughout a multitude of comics.
Right, but the reason why they went after Captain Marvel, slash Shazam, was because for a time, Captain Marvel comics were outselling Superman, and that was when it became a threat, and that's when they had to be destroyed. All these other characters are just they're not outselling Superman. So that's when all of a sudden the rules change, and what was allowed no longer is allowed. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
But,
wow. All right.
Huh?
Nothing. A post I put out LinkedIn and already got a like.
I like the Halberd pike there.
Oh yeah, that's my boy Crimson.
Or the pole axe, I guess. It depends on what you want to call it.
All right, can I small criticism on that?
Ow. Yeah?
Can you put that back on?
2 seconds, I just stabbed myself in the hand.
Ooh.
Good job.
What the fuck, Michael?
Why would you do that?
It wasn't on purpose. I thought the cap was on. I got this habit of doing this, and the cap wasn't on this one, and it's an
man.
01.
Oh,
You
an
injected
01.
yourself with ink.
Ooh.
Yes, I did actually. There's a little dot right there.
You ink man. Is it radioactive? You might get superpowers.
I might. Holy shit. I'm gonna go hold my wound out in the sun. I'll be back, guys. Okay, yeah. LDG, what were you saying about this one?
On that one. Wait, let me look at it for a minute. Maybe I looked at it too quickly. The only thing that stuck out on this one is the head placement. Am I wrong? Am I seeing that pose correctly?
It's fine.
it's fine.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I guess it's fine. I'm just being, I'm just being nitpicky here.
His head is looking in a particular direction, and if it was,
Yeah,
it would
maybe
be
that's
like
what
that.
it is. It looks a
Yeah.
little off, like to the
Yeah.
left,
Yeah,
to the right. Well, his
It's
left,
fine.
my right.
You have to account for perspective and things like that. I mean,
Yeah.
If I'm criticizing my own stuff right here, I don't quite like his hand placement because of the way the arm bends and it doesn't look right in that perspective.
Yeah, right there in the elbow looks like he's
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with
If
that.
that
That's
was-
just the head
if-
and the arm, I would say.
If that was in a panel that was like one of 6 panels on a page, I don't think people would care. But because
No.
it's an isolated pose shot that you've got there, it kind of makes it more
I can
noticeable.
tear it
I guess,
apart
but-
a lot easier, yeah.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, you would. I remember after Hyperactives came and went, I was looking for another artist and for a different one, the project that I really wanted to do, and it got to the point where I'd go to try to find an artist at a convention, and he's like, I got my comic book right here. And I'm like, oh, can I see it? And it's nothing but a pose sketchbook. I'm like, this isn't a comic book. There's no story here. You know,
If anything, that's just a portfolio, yeah.
right?
Let me
It's
see,
yeah,
let me see sequentials.
yeah, sequential storytelling. Can you do that? And then they just looked at me like a deer in headlights because that's that's all the farther they've gotten.
That looks
and it-
nice. Oh yeah,
yeah.
that's nice. That's nice.
Yeah.
That's nice. Oh yeah, totally see
That's
that.
my boy Epicenter right there.
Oh, is that the
Team
male
leader right
version
up
of Quake?
I came up with Epicenter decades before Quake was a thought.
I've never seen
Seriously, I
a
came
character
up
with
him
hair
when I
like
was
that
10.
too.
I came up with him when I was 10.
Yeah. A lot of these characters that independent creators have come out with that have been big hits were ones that they created when they were kids. Savage Dragon was one of them. Cyber Frog over at EVS's
Yeah, I'm
EVS.
getting Warts and All shipped to me here pretty soon.
Mm-hmm.
Which was the collected 90s run from like Harris and
Gotcha.
who was the other one? Shit. He had 2 publishers back then. I can't remember the name of the
Mhm.
second one.
I mean, of all the things for him to do with Cyber Frog, it's interesting because I'm willing to bet, though, that was kind of strategic as well because, like we said earlier, Marvel and DC both have legal departments that will go after you if it's a hit. So if it was something that pre-existed,
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
and it's
Well,
an
that
animal-based
from
character, yeah.
Yeah, well, and from what
Right.
I understand too, it's like it depends on the contract structure too. Like if it's a
Right.
character that you bring in, that's still your character.
Right.
And that the Harris contract was like, hey, if you create it, it's yours.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
that's something
Like,
that
I remember-
DC don't do anymore.
I remember
In fact, I
when
don't know
Rob
if they ever
Liefeld,
did.
yeah, when Rob Liefeld bought the rights to one of the many Captain America knockoffs from the 40s. I think it was called the All American. This is right after his Captain America run. So he goes to Image, and he's got this new character, the All American, and he's got a shield and everything, and so then Marvel, sends the cease and desist, and then he buys the rights to another character called Fighting American, who had a little bit different outfit that was more red, but he gives him a shield, and it's like finally he had to sit down with the Marvel lawyers. He's the same exact guy. You're right. He just changed the name, and it's like no. And basically, the arrangement that he worked out with Marvel was that okay, your character here can have a shield, but he cannot throw it. So for ranged attacks, his character, his Fighting American, All American character had a sidearm, which Captain America at one point had. So I mean, anybody can have a sidearm. So it was kind of a funny way.
I was never opposed to Captain America with a gun.
No, me neither.
He's a soldier, for Christ's sake.
Right.
I think it's weirder when he doesn't have one.
Mm-hmm.
And have a good day, Darius.
See you, Darius.
There was this idea that once the war was over, he was never going to use a gun again. I don't know if it was explicitly stated, but it certainly was implicitly stated, because when Marvel brought him back in the early 60s, no gun. Right? He just used his fists and his shield. That was it. And there were a lot of times when a gun might have been handy,
And
oh boy.
Michael, if I'm allowed to make you hate me.
I mean, you were working on it already, but go ahead. I'm kidding.
I think I know why you don't like the stance of this X-Man, whatever his name was.
Wait, which one?
The one with the X.
Oh, this one? Oh, no, I drew... This is the third one. I actually like this one.
No, I mean on the other picture.
Oh.
You said you didn't like where the right hand was. And I think it should be deeper. Because usually when you swing an axe, you grab it low with a prime hand and grab it high with the other hand. So the left hand should be high, the right hand should be low. And you swing, and the right hand gets
bounded.
The left hand. The left hand would go low to the right hand to give the axe more impact. And it looks like he was about to swing it. So in that case, the right hand would be too high.
I think you're right. And I'm gonna have to redraw him anyway.
Fluger!
What the fuck?
Hello, Fluger. Sorry.
Hi. How are you guys doing?
Hey, Fluger.
Hey, Fluger.
Hello, Fluger.
I was here early, and all I found was this video of some guy having a fit over not wanting to do a show today, so I was like...
Right?
Okay.
Tell me about it, right? Yeah.
So I went and laid back down again. I fell asleep for a couple hours.
Okay, wait a second. I gotta see this. Okay, whoa. Why is her... Whoa, this is questionable. I can't see the full resolution. It's like all blurry.
It does that with my camera sometimes when I move.
There we go. Okay, it is a female. Woo! With the pixelation, that face did not look female at all. At all. I was like, okay, so we got transgender characters. Yes.
There's a couple of big clues here. I mean,
well, yeah, but was the face though? You got to understand, it was pixelated in a way that your brain's trying to unpixelate it in your head, and I'm like, every time it kept going back to a man. Like, is that a mustache? I'm like, wait. All right, much better. Much better.
You can always strap big titties on it, dude. Come on now.
Exactly. Nothing wrong with that.
There's no such thing as chicks with dicks. There's only dudes with tits.
That's correct.
And
Sorry, Cap.
I want to comment on the previous picture before you move on. That one. It's nice to see a woman that actually has breasts that aren't like Triple H's.
Mm-hmm. They're big enough.
I'll give shit to the 90s about it being the time with its stories that I got out of comics, but it had the best designs at the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the designers definitely were taking over. For those of you who don't know, there are generally, at least when I was in, two different kinds of artists. There were designers and there were technicians. So, for example, Steve Ditko was a designer, designed some of the best looking superheroes, but then Jim Lee is the best executioner of some of those designs. But then when Jim Lee is told to design a new costume, he doesn't usually do very much. Hold on. This is just an image I wanted to show. This was the 0 issue for my comic that came out about 15 years ago, Hyperactives. This was a blatant parody cover of the Identity Crisis cover from Michael Turner. Only us real good geeks would know that. But a lot of the characters,
Liefeld vibes off that.
Yeah. The Clint Olinsky was the artist on that. What he wanted to do. What's that?
Oh shit! I'm getting ready to back his Blue Bombshell book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was. His plan was to make the title look like an old school Image title. So a lot of his artwork was, blatantly trying to look like an early '90s Image title. We pitched it to Image, and Eric Larson was the editor in chief at that time, and he just didn't think we were ready for prime time at that point. But then, the thing about Eric Larson is that I think the only new comic series he ever allowed to be published under his reign was the Luna Brothers Girls and what was it? And then I think he okayed a pirate comic at one point, and it didn't sell. So I mean, ours might have sold, but we'll never know.
Based on what I was seeing there, you said that there was, he okayed this one that I had not heard of, versus one that I'm looking at the cover there, going like, I want to know more about these characters.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. Let me show you another. We also did. We see at the time we were, this is another Kolinsky piece, and if you don't recognize where this comes from, this is obviously a John Byrne inspired thing. John Byrne has actually done multiple covers with this whole setup. Originally, it was in Fantastic Four, where a Superman parody was, for example, holding the Thing above his head, and then later he did the same cover when he was on Superman, where it was Superman and a bunch of Fantastic Four members of the of Legion of Superheroes, and then we decided to have our character Alpha Man in this pose for the final issue. And he did a pretty good job of aping John Byrne, I thought. So, but
some good stuff right there.
Yeah. Then the next one I was.
My own work.
Yeah, we hired Bill Tortellini to do the colors on that. And then the artist I was looking for the next project. This will be the last one I show you here today, because I don't want to steal anybody's vibes here, but was this character who was sort of like my homage to Blue Beetle, Ted Kord, only his motif was he dresses up like an alien gray. And all of his...
I like it.
Yeah, Alien Man was what he was called. I had an Alienware computer at the time, and it was one of the old school ones where the tower looked like an alien head. And I just stared at that one day and came up with this. But the idea being that all of his gimmicks involve what people report from alien abductions, like except for of course the anal probe. We won't go there, but his gun would fragment your memory, give you missing time, things like that. Right, yeah. Now, I mean, obviously, because at the time it was okay to inject a little bit of adult wink and nod stuff into your kids' material, we thought, well, we could dance around the idea of the public thinking that he gives anal probes, but
Really?
well, just
Sounds
having him corner a crook, and the crook being terrified that was going to happen to him without actually saying it, just kind of implying it, but of course it never does, was an idea we thought of, and then we just kind of totally scrapped it. We're like, let the Rule 34 people on 4chan come up with that idea. We'll just keep it completely clean. Yeah. But anyway, I'm done showing. So you can put Michael back on main screen then.
Oh, you don't even have to.
Because I like
that's fine.
Well, that's fine. But I mean, Clint Helinski was a great artist to work with. I was getting him at a discount at the time. He had just come off of Voltron. He had done Voltron comics for Devil's Due for like 4 years, and he was anxious to start drawing guys in tights again. He did not want to draw robots.
Oh, X is rough unless you got a passion for it.
Yeah. He was really interested in getting back to the textures of cloth and tights and muscle and stuff like that. And so I had a couple of ideas that I thought were really good ideas for ones, but he didn't want to do any of those. And he says, I'll lower my page rate if I get some creative input. And so I said, sure. This was going to be my first quote pro work. And I think we still made an outstanding little comic, better than what you find here. I mean, it still kind of amazes me that Hyper is sold, like, first issue sold like 20,000 copies, and then the rest of the issues sold between 15 and 10, which were terrible numbers in 2006. But today,
Yeah.
X-Men makes that now, so yeah, I know, it's just, so, but he had he had a little bit different philosophy than I did. I wanted something that looked unique on the shelf, right? That stood out. And he wanted something that blended right in. And one of the things that he did is I gave, each character had a paragraph description of what it should look like. And, I gave each one 3 elements. And there were just things that he flat out didn't want to draw. The main character, Silverwing, was supposed to have armpit wings. I call them armpit wings, kind of like the Falcon in
Spidey
comics. Yeah.
I was going to say Spidey gliders, but...
Yeah, well, that's kind of what the Falcon has, except they extend beyond his arms. Or at least they used to. Now he's got fully, bionic wings on his back, but at least in the movies. But I wanted him to have those wings, and I wanted him to be one of these power gliding urban vigilante types. He just didn't want to draw the feathers, and so he ended up drawing something that looked, I mean, without coloring, I'm like, that's Nightwing. You can't do that. It's Nightwing, And he goes, well, the colors will be different. I'm like, yeah, but come on, it's like, And then I had a sort of a female insect character called Honeychild, who I described as Halle Berry in a bee outfit. And what he essentially drew was Wasp in one of her generic, tights outfits. And I'm like, well, okay, this guy looks like Silverwing. Well, I mean, at least if you're going to copy Wasp, give her one, copy one of the more interesting ones that she used to do. She had that Tinkerbell outfit in the late 70s that I thought was kind of interesting. But
she went through more design changes than I can even fathom.
Oh yeah. Well, her character, as you well know, it was a fashion designer, so naturally every year she got a new outfit. But and I said, look, I'm looking at these characters in black and white, and this one's Nightwing, this one's Wasp, and he's like, well, don't worry about it. I'm like, oh, okay, all right. I didn't worry about it, and one of the biggest criticisms of that comic was the generic look of some of the characters, and I never. Clint's a good guy, but I never got this out of him. But I suspected that he was using Hyperact as this kind of a tryout book to show the other 2 publishers, look, this is what it would be like if I drew your characters. Which is fine. It was if that's what he was trying to do, that's what he was trying to do.
Yeah, I'm not going to begrudge a guy figuring out how to make his bread,
Right, exactly. And it would have worked, but I think that we weren't exactly in sync with each other. And then, of course,
I'd be
as
more
soon
into
as
it
the
if they
first,
were to let me know.
yeah, yeah. But I mean, I don't have anything ill to say about Clint. He took a chance on me, and so that was, I'll always owe him for that. So, but yeah, there was some fundamental differences in the direction that I wanted versus the direction he wanted, and we kind of met in the middle, and that was it. And then when first issue comes out, and then all of a sudden Clint has to move, and so that made the next issue about 2 to 3 months late. Then the letterer, Andrew Dahlhaus, had to move from Florida to Texas, and so that made the comic, the next issue, about 3 months late. So it was like it took a year to come out with 5 issues, and I was really hoping it would be out on time, because things were,
Who's the guy that had the letterer that had the Greek name for Marvel throughout like the late 80s and 90s, who lettered like almost everything for Marvel?
Greek name. Oh, gee whiz.
It might not be specifically Greek, but it was definitely like a long, screwed up last name.
Oh, let's see.
Shit. That's bothering me now. Sorry,
It wasn't like
my head.
Yeah, it's not like Papadopoulos or anything like that, right? I mean, typical Greek names.
It's close to that, but it didn't start with a consonant, I don't think.
Huh.
It was like, wait, oh shit, Chris Eliopoulos.
That's it, yeah. And he was also doing stuff for Image, too.
Mm-hmm.
But,
yeah, he was a hired gun as far as the letterer goes.
Mm-hmm. That's usually what letterers became after a while. They were freelancers, the letterers. The core artwork writing was still in-house for a lot of places, but yeah, they would hire out for letterer and sometimes colorist as well, especially when the colorist went digital.
Oh yeah, Liquid ended up getting a shitload of work.
Yeah. I still miss newsprint, that newsprint quality paper the comics were on, because then you had to have the little dot matrix thing on.
Yeah. I'm actually tempted to do a retro release version of Inferno.
Yeah.
Have a newsprint version of it.
Yeah, and one of the things that people forget is that the comics were drawn and inked knowing that was the kind of color that they were going to be using. So they kind of compensated for it with some of their choices. And then when Marvel puts out Visionaries trades and things like that, with digital colors, it doesn't quite look right.
It doesn't translate
at least to me.
The same way, yeah.
No. It's like when they try to color black and white comics. It's like the black and white comics were drawn and inked, intending there not to be color there. And if you add color, that sometimes doesn't work. Yeah. I remember speaking about not knowing people's names.
I'll be right back. All right.
Speaking of not knowing people's names, I remember back in the 80s, I didn't have a lot of there wasn't a lot of video media pertaining to comics and stuff. You would see people's names on the page, and sometimes they'd be really long, exotic names, especially for Wisconsin. You wouldn't know how to pronounce them. There was this guy I just loved. His artwork, it looked like something off of an album cover. He did like Transformers #1 cover with Optimus Prime on it and stuff like that. His name, I thought, was Bill Sinkiewicz.
What?
And it wasn't until years later, we're talking like 20 years later, I said, I was at a convention as a pro, the same one in Minneapolis I was talking about earlier, and I mentioned Bill Sinkiewicz, and they all kind of looked at me. Do you mean Bill Sienkiewicz? I'm like, oh, is that how you pronounce it? Yeah, him.
Yeah, that's who I meant. What did I say?
I try to blow it off a little bit. But I've been saying Sinkiewicz for years because nobody in, rural Wisconsin had access to, there was no like audio or video of anybody pronouncing his name, and we didn't know anybody.
Didn't have a Polish kicker. Yeah, I know.
Right. Yeah. And so now today, I mean, you can usually find a video where the name of any creator is pronounced, and there's still a lot of people that pronounce, for example, Mark Miller's name Mark Millar.
Oh yeah.
But it's Miller.
Interviews.
Yeah. I mean, Marvel and DC. A lot of people don't know this. Marvel and DC actually have a joint trademark on the word superhero.
Yep, nobody else can use it.
Nobody else can use that. You have to call it something else. I remember there was a indie guy who made a comic called Superhero Happy Hour. It was just it was like Cheers for superheroes. It was all about this bar that superheroes after hours would come to get a drink at. It was lighthearted, it was not meant to be taken seriously, but he couldn't have the word superhero on the cover. Marvel and DC both shot him cease and desist when it was solicited, and so then he had to change the whole name to something else. I don't even remember what he changed it to, but I think it just might have been Hero Happy Hour or whatever. But yeah,
I remember during that big old fight, that's where we got terms like metahuman and things like that. Because they had to come through, they were sending each other letters and shit like that until it got settled. Right.
Yeah, DC for a long time was referring to their characters as metahumans. I used hyperhuman in hyperactives. Just so that they wouldn't, hyperheroes, yeah.
Go ahead.
Hyperheroes, hyperhumans, and things like that, just to hypervillains, and that was my way of getting around that. But yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm going with the term new gen or neo-gen is what I'm going with, because everybody got their powers from the same source.
Gotcha.
I'm doing kind of an altered history.
Okay.
So, the Alamogordo tests, the nuclear tests in New Mexico, those opened a hole in reality instead of, being a successful nuclear weapons test. And because that happened, they put the kibosh on the project. But when the portal opened, a massive amount of an unknown type of radiation filtered into Earth's atmosphere and either altered people on the spot or changed their genetics so what happened would pass on to their kids. So what I've got going is, the Neogens are the ones that were altered almost immediately. And then New Gens are their offspring.
Gotcha.
Help the potential for it. And because the nuclear tests were kiboshed, there was no bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Well, I took a look at what would happen if that had happened, and apparently we had Operation Downfall ready to go, which was a land invasion of Japan, which would have seen Russia invading the north, us invading the south, Japan surrendering to the U.S. in all likelihood, and World War III would have occurred within 10 years. So where I've got mine set is World War III has happened, and Russians are still kind of the bad guys.
Gotcha. I guess I will show one more thing here. That's a neat idea. I mean, the idea of having everybody get their abilities from one event, it's attractive to a lot of creative people because Stan Lee was running into this problem all the time. Maybe he had to come up with a new origin for every superhero and supervillain that came out, and he was running out of ideas, and that was one of the factors that went into the X-Men. Just the idea that okay, these people don't have an origin; they just all of a sudden grew powers in their teens. That was a way of him to get around that narrative problem, because he was cranking out stuff. I mean, That
I love the story about the naming of X-Men too, because he was originally going to call the book The Mutants, and it got kiboshed because nobody's going to know what a mutant is. Okay, how about I call them the X-Men? That sounds great. Nobody knows what a fucking X-Men is either.
Right, exactly. Yeah, it was ambiguous. I mean, the thing I like about and I read this in an interview and saw it actually on an interview that Stan Lee did with on 2020 back in the 80s when they interviewed him. He said that he has no problem with a kid reading a comic book who doesn't know what a word is and has to put the comic book down and go grab a dictionary and look up what the word is.
Right.
You know, I mean, he said,
all the time growing up.
Yeah, I had to. I'm like, what does omnipotent mean? Okay, let me go ahead and look it up. You know, oh, okay, that's what it means. You know, and you know, if you do the story well enough, the kid's gonna do that. And he says that's okay. You know, but Marvin Goodman, the guy who was in charge of Marvel when DC or when before Stan took over, was not one of those guys. You know, he hated Spider-Man when he hated the Spider-Man character so much, you know, that he put him in the last issue of a comic that was going to get canceled, and then the sales fingers came back, and Marvin Goodman's like, hey, you know, Stan, remember that Spider-Man character that we both liked so much? Why don't you do a series on it? You know?
Oh, the Amazing Fantasy run,
yeah. Yeah. Amazing Fantasy 15. Let me show something here. I don't know if Captain Trek is still able to show stuff, but the last comic I did was for my church, actually. This was the cover of one of the issues. I don't have a lot of covers on my hard drive, but it was for very little kids, but it was also for very little Christian kids. So there was a lot of extra rules that we had to, the artist and I had to work around. And
it's a niche market, but decently wide across the U.S.
Well, it was only, I mean, the plan was that they were going to release it digitally once we had, you know, like 3 years worth of issues under our belt. But the church didn't really know how to do that. And so then it just kind of ended. But, okay, so you got me shared yet, or?
Still there, Cat?
Well, he might have dropped out.
I'm not seeing anything shared yet.
Oh, yeah, I've got it. Oh, hold on. There we go. That's my bad. I thought I had it sharing. All right, so Young Paladins, Champions of Truth, you know, very, very... this isn't a team shot. This is just a shot of two of the members, the Angel Twins. And I thought it was fun to have a pair of twins on the team. It kind of reminds me of the Wonder Twins and, you know, all that. But that was an example, you know. Artwork was very simple. And it was kind of refreshing to write for a very, very young audience.
I like it.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of simplistic stuff. I can't do that myself for some reason. I can't dial back.
Yeah.
Like, this is probably one of the simplest ones that I did right here.
Okay, let's see here. Oh yeah. No, that's fine. I mean, a couple extra lines don't hurt, but yeah, this was we had a super speed character who his speed came from these who he had polio and he got special leg braces that let him run real fast, and he had a scarf. Yeah, he had a scarf, and you know, and yeah, it was let me see if I got anything else here. Oh yeah, here's another cover of second issue with the Angel Twins, and then a Robin-like character called Honor Scout, who had a Boy Scout motif. He was just, you know, he had a Swiss Army knife, but that we couldn't call a Swiss Army knife because the parents didn't like the idea of him carrying a knife. So we called it a multi-tool, and it was a fantasy thing, like Batman's utility belt kind of a deal. And
that is totally Teen Titans Robin right there.
Right, exactly. Yeah, we were really channeling that idea. I wanted him to have a hat, a Boy Scout hat, so that he didn't look quite as much like Robin, but the artist Kira couldn't quite get that to work. So I said, okay, fine, throw a domino mask on him, you know. And then he started really looking like Robin at that point.
This is the opposite of what I wanted to do, but he still looks cool, so we're taking it.
Yeah. We were like, okay, well, we could always change the look of a character later on. You know, that was the idea. And we went through several colors too. We actually had, because the Boy Scouts, of course, wear blue and gold, and we decided that green and gold look better in team shots with all the characters standing together. Yeah. But
Purple and gold would have been better.
yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, we initially based it off of, I'm going to have to share this again here.
Okay.
We based it off of this image, this classic image of a Boy Scout from like the 30s. And we were just like, okay, turn that guy into a superhero, you know, and get, you know, make his neckerchief long enough so that it's a cape. And, you know, he was based off of that idea, and we did that. And it just, when he was looking, there was too many people wearing blue on the team. So we decided, you know, to change the colors up a little bit. But that was the inspiration there. The Angel Twins, I'm going to share again here. Sorry, Cap.
No problem.
Were based off of, we didn't want these, we knew they were going to be girls. We didn't want them to be like typical Norwegian blonde-haired, blue-eyed people. And I found this picture in National Geographic of a girl named Jordan Spencer, this was actually from the cover of a National Geographic magazine. She is exactly like 1/3 Caucasian, 1/3, you know, African, and then she has got like another little bit of a mix of Asian in there, and she has the most interesting hair and eye color.
Good morning, Yvette.
Yeah, so that's, I don't know if you're showing that. That's her. So we based the Angel Twins off of her. Yeah. And the artist had a lot of fun trying to interpret her hair, you know, on the page, because it's very unusual hair. Yeah. So she lives, I believe, in Texas.
Curls in general can be a nightmare.
And good evening, Yvette.
What's Yvette doing on this beautiful Sunday?
Good question.
Well, it's 5 in the evening in London, so Vegas money says getting dinner ready.
I would tend to agree.
Not sausage gravy again. Son of a bitch.
Effing cooking. Called it.
Yeah, good call. Good call.
Safe call, but good.
Yeah, it was the safe bet, but, you know, I felt confident.
Just under 90 degrees. Oh my god. I gotta see what it is outside here.
90 degrees.
It is 76 right now where I'm at 10 in the morning.
Yeah, I am 71 degrees today.
Yeah, at 11, it's 80 flat. Yuck.
Yep, I'm going to have to get out of this office before too long before my body just starts developing a mild paste.
Yeah.
Ew.
Well, I can't have the door open with the fan blowing in because, well...
Paper blows, yeah. Oh, that too.
Not just that, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm embarrassed as hell when I jump on a stream and forget I've got my door open. Hey, Michael's here. Oh my god, what is that?
Yeah. So my air conditioner is only a few feet away from my microphone too, so I have to usually turn it off to be on here.
Speaking of which, that does mean it's time to turn the window fan from intake to exhaust. That is a really cool window fan, and I don't know how the engineering works in it, but you can just like flip a switch and it starts going the other way.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of hair, I've just got to get volts done, and I think I'm done with the primary inking on this piece.
Remember when they stopped inking comics, where they just kind of, took the pencils and scanned them in. It's like, no, the inking is important.
There was when Chris Claremont came back to Marvel, there was a run he did called Extreme X-Men with Salvador Larroca on pencils, and I love his pencil work.
Right.
But that's what they did to him on that, yeah. I just thought that was just a strange style choice.
Yeah. I went to a convention that had Jim Lee in it. It was right when his Batman and Robin the Boy Wonder comic that Frank Miller was writing came out.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was this table that had Jim Lee and his inker, Scott Williams, sitting at it. And of course, the line in front of Jim Lee was, astronomical, but there was nobody in line in front of Scott Williams. So I'm like, screw this, I'll just go to talk to Scott Williams, There was a partition on the table, so you couldn't stand in front of Scott Williams and talk to Jim Lee. So I sat there, and nobody came in line behind me, so I talked to him for half an hour. And so many things learned about his contribution to the art. I mean, you take Jim Lee pencils and you give somebody else, a less dedicated, less competent inker, and it'll look like ass. John Williams, I think, is at least part of why people love Jim Lee's artwork. It's actually the two of them, And I've seen artwork that has been inked by somebody else, and it doesn't look as good as when Scott Williams does it. So, yeah.
Right there.
Scott
Williams inker, X-Men #1.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I love this book. 30th anniversary this year, by the way.
That's right. All that stuff came out in 91.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next year, 92. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, this last month was the 30th anniversary of X-Force #1, which was the second best-selling comic title of all time.
Right. Yeah, that was...
X-Men #1 being the first. Yeah.
Yeah.
What, 5.1 million copies or something like that overall to date?
Oh, yeah. And then, a year later, they all left Marvel for Image, formed Image. And of course, they were all being patronized by the Marvel staff, you'll be back in 2 years, it won't amount to much. And Liefeld was, or not Liefeld, but McFarlane was talking about how it was like printing your own money back then. Spawn #1 would, cover price at $1.99. He'd print 1 million copies, it would sell out. So he'd print another 1 million copies, that would sell out, And they'd go to conventions and they'd literally have money falling out of their pockets because they didn't have enough,
at the table.
They didn't have enough place for all the cash that they were coming away with. Yeah, that was something.
I both enjoy and loathe the detailed braids take.
The what take?
Braids. This is what I'm working on for Volt here.
Mm-hmm. It's too bad they can't come up with a shorthand for that. What's that?
All they want to do is fucking play video games.
Yeah, it's kind of, there's something to be said about shorthand. Part of me really likes back when comics were, always on time and the artist had to, bang out pages left and right. And so, for example, Captain America's outfit, right? It's classic. They would usually put like one or two little scales on the shoulders to indicate that this was the texture that was supposed to be, there. They wouldn't draw the whole thing in scales. They would, and then I remember the first time I think I saw a comic where Captain America where his costume was drawn with all the scales. And it was, I think it was a Kevin Maguire. Yeah, it was like, okay, so this looks more realistic, but I still kind of like that shorthand better, Or when they first started drawing Human Torch in the 90s, where he looked like a guy who was on fire instead of a red nude figure, in a yellow flame aura.
Or where they did those like hash marks down his face, so they didn't have to like throw in all the detail. Yeah.
Right. The idea that he was not entirely visible, Yeah. I've also always been a fan of Kirby Crackle.
Oh, Kirby Crackle's great. Like you can hear the energy blasts in your head when Kirby drew shit. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, interestingly, Marvel has has 2 other words trademarked that can't be used by anybody else. And I bet you can identify why. One is thwip.
Thwip,
and the other is snicked.
Snicked, yep.
Spider-Man's webbing and Wolverine's claws.
Right. They even had a character in the Mojo verse called Snicked. He was a little like Wolverine as a kid. Yeah, Thwip and Snicked, and I'm surprised they haven't also done, Crack-a-Coom or,
Zacked for Cyclops,
Yeah. Or Tack, 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 Tack for cosmic radiation hitting the hull of the Fantastic Four is okay, that actually wasn't the sound of the radiation. That was supposed to be the sound of their Geiger counter, now that I think about it. So, yeah. That'd be fine.
Or one of my personal favorites that's in almost every Punisher comic. Buddha, 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 Buddha.
Booty, 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 booty.
Punisher had some of that going on in there, too.
Yeah. When Hyperactives came out in elementary school, wanted to try to contact me to see if I would talk to some kids about comic books in general, and so I sent them, emailed them some pages, preview pages of the comic, and the principal said, "Well, we find this comic too violent to expose our kids to." And I said, "That's not violence, that's action. Kids love action." Never got a reply. Like, violence is when the Punisher comes in to a room and mafia people's heads start, getting shot off. Action is when the Thing has already delivered his punch. He's already got his fist over on one side where he's and the motion line has a flash point where impact happened and the character he punched is up in the air, rocketing towards the horizon. Right? That's action, where you're not actually showing
the fist on the face kind of thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
And even a lot of artists even get taught early on that like your dynamic points are like when the fist is cocked back ready to strike or after the blow has landed. That midpoint is actually kind of a bad dynamic shot.
Right.
Hell, I think that's even in the How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had that book and I had that video. Sal Buscema though was a terrible. He he didn't get me excited about drawing comics at all. You know, Stan kind of did, but then they'd cut to Stan Buscema, and he's like, the most important thing is to make your character look three-dimensional. You know, and it's like, oh, God, you know, you couldn't have gotten Sal Buscema or John Buscema, you know, or
John Buscema,
yeah. Well, it was John Buscema who was there. It was Sal Buscema, his son, that was I liked a little bit better, but no, I thought maybe a great one to get would be John Romita Jr., who was Marvel Hunk of the Month at one point. I liked him because he was cool guy. He had an earring, and he talked with he sounded like a New Yorker, and he admitted that I call my style the deadline style. Whatever it is, when the deadline happens, that's my style.
Well, okay. What do you guys think so far?
Yeah.
That looks good.
Who's the Regal leader guy in the middle?
In the front, that is Epicenter.
Epicenter. Okay, gotcha.
That is.
He's got extremes more than words hair. I like that.
Oh yeah. Navajo.
Native American too. Good.
Actually,
there's this
funny thing. It's like most of these characters are characters that I've played as in RPGs, and I never thought about like a diversity quota or anything. But like these are two Greek twins, Asian ninja guy. Freaking okay. Here's a couple of Caucasians, a couple of African Americans. Well, actually, this guy's Haitian, and Native American. I didn't even think about a diversity quota. It's just I thought these characters were cool.
Right.
Everybody
Interesting.
loved ninjas, everybody loves
Yeah, it wasn't forced diversity back in the 80s and 90s when the X-Men and all these characters were multinational. It was trying to make interesting characters.
Exactly. It wasn't having to meet a quota. It was like, oh, hey, this is an interesting character. Oh, he just happens to be whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like when they made Gambit, it's like, okay, we need an interesting roguish character. What haven't we done yet? And I think the Cajuns were starting to get a little bit more mainstream media attention thanks to that guy who did the Ruffles commercials, the Ruffles potato chips.
The Ruffles have ridges.
Yeah, exactly. And he was, look at them ridges covered with pepper and onion, and it was his accent and stuff. And they were like, okay, well let's make a Cajun character, and it was, so you got into that very, very niche, very little specific area in the United States, down in New Orleans, that had people that talked like that, and that was why they did it. They didn't say, oh, we need a black person here, or we need a
Well, and Chris
Native
Claremont
American here.
hated that character too. He was intended to be hit by a bus after like 6 issues.
Oh, yeah. Well, Gambit had, and what was interesting was Gambit had powers that other characters had already had up until that point. His power was literally the same power that Harpoon had. Harpoon was an Eskimo member of the Marauders who could imbue his harpoons with energy, and so Gambit was the same thing. He just used playing cards and whatever else he could find.
Initially, throwing spikes was what he used instead of playing cards.
Right.
It was one of those. People knew that.
Yeah. One of the funny things, if you go on YouTube, Pete Holmes has a series of sketch videos called X-Men EX-Men. Yeah. Professor X is firing each X-Men, and some of them are kind of cool, but he's saying how lame they are. He gets to Gambit, it's like, so Gambit, I understand you throw stuff.
But didn't I make it go boom?
Yeah. I'm just gonna keep it as throws stuff here, and he's writing in his clipboard or whatever. It's like, He goes, what happens if you run out of things to throw? Like, what if the Sentinels attack us when we're not at a 5 and dime store? The Wolverine one, though, the first one they did was Wolverine, and I thought that was just brilliant because, he took on the most popular X-Men since he debuted. and just eviscerated him. It was very
My
funny.
critique about the movies, they were all Wolverine movies. God damn it!
Oh, I know. I mean, it wasn't until, and I know he's not very popular these days, but it wasn't until Joss Whedon got his own X-Men title that Cyclops became interesting to me again.
I think they could have easily explored his team leadership with James Marsden's character in the movies, and there was something there.
I'm hoping that when MCU eventually gets around to, reintroducing the X-Men, I hope they wait a good number of years before they do that to really build up anticipation for it. That they start at the beginning.
We've cycled out of this fucking agenda bullshit.
Right. Yeah, and that they give us the first 5 X-Men, give us like a couple of movies with them, and then that second generation comes later, so that at least those first 5 get some development. Because Fox, of course, started with like the most popular characters, or most of them, that they could do with a $90 million budget, and yeah.
And can we please have Rogue have a villain arc where she steals Miss Marvel's powers before joining the X-Men?
That would be good. Actually, one of the best things they could do, one of the funnest things they could do was, I don't know if you remember this or not, you probably do, but there was one summer where Art Adams did 2 annuals. He did a New Mutants annual where Loki essentially entices the New Mutants to go to Asgard where they won't be hated and they could be, and he's literally taking them to like Oz, basically. And it's all a plot to get Storm installed as the new goddess of thunder to usurp Thor. And then in the X-Men annual that summer, the X-Men have to go to Asgard to retrieve the New Mutants and defeat Loki. And collectively, the 2 annuals are called the Asgardian Wars. And it was Art Adams at his top form, and they could turn that into some kind of movie too.
But that would be a good idea, Darren.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many storylines just from the 70s and 80s and also the 60s that they wouldn't need to, but they seem to have this need now to dive into the more recent Marvel stuff,
Or
which I'm
just
sorry
the
isn't
most
as
popular.
good. Yeah.
Can we please have a Phoenix Saga before we have a Dark Phoenix Saga?
Oh.
The cartoon did that better.
Yeah, it did.
Like, seriously, you want 9 episodes of animated good-ass storytelling, go find the Phoenix Saga and Dark Phoenix Saga from the 92 X-Men cartoon. It was so good. And as far as like the team dynamic goes, yes, the team makeup was different, but a faithful adaptation in spite of that.
Right. Yeah, some characters didn't need to be there. Or it could have been changed out for other ones, but yeah. The problem I had, I actually kind of avoided... Go ahead, sorry.
The irony behind that cartoon is the husband and wife team that were behind writing it had not picked up an X-Men comic before that.
They must have got a summary.
Well, as soon as they got the job, they started picking up issues. And like like X-Men #1 from 91 was one of the first things that was out. And they were grabbing like the Claremont and Jim Lee stuff and going older to the John Byrne stuff. And, oh, hey, we're adapting the Phoenix Saga for our cartoon. Let's go pick those up.
The one X-Men I always liked was, we only saw him for 2 issues, was Thunderbird. He was the X-Men that died in their second adventure just to show that the stakes were real. He was basically the X-Men's red shirt. He
was designed to die.
Yeah, because his powers were mimicked by the other team members. I mean, he was super strong. Well, we already got a guy who's way stronger. That's Colossus, so and more visually interesting. But
he
later on, they brought
agility, which was Nightcrawler. He had superior combat ability. Well, Wolverine was better.
Yeah, exactly. So later on, when they brought in his little brother in New Mutants under Rob Liefeld, I thought that was cool because they had shown that his younger brother was now older than Thunderbird had been when he died, and it was revealed that he's like as strong as a young Colossus now because John Proudstar had died before his powers had fully developed, which is weird because he looked like an adult man when he died, not a teenager. But they kind of play fast and loose with the ages, and I liked it. They made him into a character called Warpath, and he was their super strength department. Yeah,
I'd have used that name for a character had it not already been taken.
But you got we're looking at this team shot that you have here, and there's this certain template that always seems to happen. And I don't know if the X-Men or the Fantastic Four or whatever created this template. You got your noble, regal leader always in the front, right? You got some stealthy character, some dangerous character, and then you got some big, huge guy in the back, right? Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that formula. It's a formula that works. But I think, interestingly, in the late 90s, they were really trying to mess around with that formula a little bit. Like they'd have the super strength department of the team be like a skinny little girl, like Supergirl or something, or have the leader be the dangerous looking one, or and they swap around the roles a little bit.
I remember one of the Danger Room exercises that was in the comics once, and they did kind of a reverse fastball special, but it was Rogue picking up Colossus in his human form in one hand, and Nightcrawler was just laughing his ass off at how that looked. But when she goes to throw Colossus and then he morphs into his metal form mid-air,
yeah, it's a little bit different.
Becomes amazingly dangerous.
Yeah. I think that
you want your
Chris
Star Trek
Claremont,
reference, though.
Yep. Sure.
Sorry.
But
yeah, you want your Star Trek reference. The best one was the X-Men Star Trek crossovers that they did. The first one was a little funny because, like, when Spock nerve pinched Wolverine, and Wolverine drops to the ground and then gets right back up. It's like, what the hell did you do to me? And then when Professor X met Captain Picard in the second issue, they're just staring at each other for a hot minute. Like, the crew of the Enterprise is staring at the X-Men and then back at their respective leaders. Like, And the artist didn't hide shit. He drew both to look like Patrick Stewart.
Yeah, that's you kind of have to do that. I think the best Marvel DC crossover was Avengers JLA, written by Kurt Busiek, where when the Avengers first encounter the Justice League, Hawkeye's like, "Oh, I get it. They're an alternate, reality version of the Squadron Supreme." because why wouldn't you think that?
Exactly.
That was like one of the best lines in it.
Okay, I think I'm going to put a pause button on this for right now.
Okay.
And as for myself,
Cool
I
off.
should probably get some sleep. Yeah, I need to get to bed. I've been going all night, and I've got my stream tonight. So.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, you take care, Michael. I'm going to go ahead and put a wrap on this, and Jedi Bill should be streaming now. I dropped Cinnabon's link in the chat if you'd like to go watch him. Everybody have a good day, and probably see you on Michael's stream later.
All right.
Thanks for putting up with us, Cap.